Hi everyone, this is David Lee, Autism Behavioral Therapies, BCBA, and this little clip will show you how to upload your session notes in Behavior Tracker on both the app and on the PC. Okay, the first thing we're going to have to do is sign in. I use Firefox as a browser because I can put links at the top of the page for easy clicking, and since I go to Team Portal all the time, I do that a lot. So I put it up here at the top. Once you click and you go to the website, you can see that there's a username and a password you got to put in. Those will be provided, the username, so you can get in there. It's a secure connection. You'll put all that stuff in there and hit the login. You can see where it says remember me next time. That doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I've got auto remember on Firefox. It doesn't remember. So forget about that. Once you've logged in, you will look around to the lower left to see a bunch of clickable links, and one is called Session Notes. So you're going to click on Session Notes and you're going to come to this screen. When you get to the Session Notes screen, you can see it there. You will see a pull down, drop down menu, and it'll have a bunch of kids in there, a bunch of clients, and you will pick the client that you're writing the session note for. You can see from this one that there's already a session note started. This is a dummy test for privacy reasons. There's already a session note. You are going to add a session note. You can see it up there on the right. Now we're looking at the blank fillable screens that you put in the information for your session note. So at the top, you just start at the top and you fill them in as you go down. You start by putting the date and the time in there. When you put the date and the time in the top one and you go to the next, like the end date and the time, it automatically decides what it thinks is correct. So you have to correct that over and over every time. So you just get used to that idea. Always proofread work, they say. After that, you can put in an observer. I am usually the observer because I'm supposed to be overseeing your sessions. So you could just type my name in there. The location depends on where you were doing ABA. So I put in home usually, but sometimes the client goes out to the park or the stores or something, and we put that in. It'll start, Behavior Tracker will start auto-filling that in for you at some point, which is handy. After that, we put in purpose. So it's an ABA session for most therapists. Sometimes, well, when I write them, sometimes I'm doing an overlap of a therapist, or I'm doing parent education. But usually it's going to be you and the kid, and it'll be an ABA session. So I want you to put ABA session note like this in here, and then in parentheses put your name in there. Behavior Tracker has to be worked around in some way, so it's good to put your name in there so it'll appear in the overall note section. So what do we put in session notes? Well, we try not to put anything that's too general, that doesn't really give us much information that we can quantify. So when we say Johnny's having a great day today, that tells us not very much, as opposed to Johnny did 80% of his programs today and was very attentive. That's quantitative information that we can use. So we have this format that we want therapists to follow and put in. This has a couple advantages. One is that it'll be standardized throughout the company, so all therapists will be producing pretty much the same session notes, so they'll be easy to read and understand. Second, for insurance purposes, when we bill, if these records are reviewed, which they are occasionally, the insurance companies will want to know what happened on that day. And they're not going to be happy if Johnny had a good day as compared to Johnny made 80% progress on this and that program. So it helps to standardize records across the company. It helps insurance companies to see that we're actually doing a good job. And third, it makes life a little easier on therapists, because a therapist doesn't have to reinvent the wheel every time to write these session notes. It's like, just fill this in, I'm done. That's a good thing, because nobody wants to do more work than they have to get the job done well. So follow this format. And a few other things to note when you're putting in these session notes. You can format it beautifully in a Word document or some other program like that, and then when you paste it in or you type it in, what happens is Behavior Tracker doesn't have very good formatting skills, and it'll turn all that beautiful work into a solid block of text. So there's no point in making it very pretty if it's only going to get pasted into Behavior Tracker until Behavior Tracker is able to format session notes so that they look good. Just a word to the wise. And finally, we come to the part where you could put recommendations in, due dates, who's it assigned to, the status, and add or cancel. So the recommendation, usually I will be reviewing your session note and I will put in approved by David Lee, blah, blah, blah. So you don't need to put anything in there. The due date you don't currently have to worry about. For assigned to, you'll see that there are people on this list who are not there, or you in fact may not be on this list because somebody has to update that stuff and they haven't yet. So if you're not on there, don't click on there. And the workaround is that we put your name in parentheses further up. So you can see by looking at the session notes who wrote the note. So that's not as important as you might think. Okay, so for the status radio button, you see there, not started, 20%, 100%. That's if you're writing a much longer note than you will ever write. So just leave that one blank. And then if you're satisfied with your work, you hit the add session note or you hit cancel. Now you can go back and re-edit it, or at least I can with my permissions. So if I've made an error, I can go back and fix it. So I would never hit cancel. So this concludes this little bit on how to upload your session notes into Behavior Tracker. We have a few other things we will probably cover, but this is just a segment on entering your session notes, what they look like, where to put them, and what things to check and not to check. So that's pretty easy. I'll see you for another one of these pretty soon. Bye!